It's okay, shit. I'm sorry. It's out, but cancel you. The pen, I can't see who's on Zoom. To the right, where it says.
Oh, wait, sorry.
All right. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you again for being patient. We now have quorum. We're gonna go ahead and start for the sake of time. We have a hard stop at 12, so we are gonna make some adjustments to the agenda today. So again, good morning. Welcome to the Community Advisory Board CAP for 8109 Public Realignment. Today's date, December 12th, 10, no, 10. I wrote this out, whatever time it is now. So before we start, I usually go over our purpose. Majority of you all know what our purpose is here, but I'll go over it quickly. Who we are the Community Advisory Board on the Public Safety Realignment, which was established by the Community Correction Partnership Executive Committee to provide input on community needs. And in reference to our purpose, we advise the counties consideration of the role, scope, and impact of the criminal justice system on individuals, their families, and our local community by providing input on community needs, assess the implementation of the 8109 Public Safety Realignment implementation, review data on outcomes, advise the CCP on engagement with community, offer recommendations regarding programs, services, funding opportunities to better serve our ranging population. So a few housekeeping for those that are on Zoom. Please stay muted, and you will raise your hand at *6 when you want to speak. And those in the room, board members will speak first, and then we'll ask those to raise hands for public comment. Okay. Forgive me if I go a little bit fast because we have presenters and a couple of things to kind of cover that I want to make sure that we get to. I then want to go to our next item on the agenda, which will be roll call, and I'm going to pass it over to Kim. If you please do roll call for committee members first.
Sure, Tracy. President? Oh, sorry, President.
Present. You go whichever order you want.
Tiffany? President here. Tracy? Here. Marcus?
Here.
Wanda?
Here.
No. Alex? Alexandria? Present. Brenda?
Present.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, and we will now go to introductions for staff. I believe all staff is in person today.
Yeah, and if it's okay, I'll go first really quickly. Hi, everyone. Tracy Guillory here from the Office of Reentry and Justice, and I'm joined by my team. Some folks might be new faces to you all. So I'll let them to introduce themselves, but we're really excited to continue to grow and be a support to the full path. So I'll let our newer staff introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Bergerman. I'm a new program manager at LRJ. I transferred over from Neighborhood Health Services. So some of you I recognize, but great to meet you.
I'm Beth Allen. I'm a brand new planner evaluator, and my work previously was doing evaluation services for Homeboy Industries in Los Angeles. So I'm happy to be here.
And then I'm Kimia Sayo. I've been with the RJ for 3 years. I know some of you guys, but I don't typically join committee CAD meetings. Hello.
We will, believe I have all set, right?
We have 2 online and
Okay.
then Jill.
Okay, any staff online?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Elizondo. I'm the program coordinator with the Office of Reentry and Justice. Glad to be here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Travis Grindal. I am a planner evaluator with the ROJ. I've been here about 3 months now.
We will now move to introductions for our guests that are in the room.
Will Martinez, work recovery program manager.
Tom Aswad, founder and CFO of Support Recovery.
Cynthia DePaulo, program manager with Center Point.
And we'll now move to guest on Zoom.
Hello, everyone. I'm Glorabel Pastrana, Business Service Manager with Rubicon Programs.
Hi, everyone. Jamie Schechter, Contra Costa Health, Housing, Homeless Services.
Morning, everyone. Janet Evans, Office of Education, Game Plan for Success.
And this is Jill Ray with the Office of Supervisor Candace Anderson, and I'm so excited to see you have so much staff, Patrice. Congratulations.
Thank you. I didn't see you on there. Do we have any more?
No.
Okay. All right, so moving right along, we'll now move to agenda item number 2, which is for public comment on any items under the jurisdiction of the committee and not on this agenda. First open up for anyone in the. Jamie, I am glad that you're on here because I did some printouts, but I didn't bring it with me. I did want to do a public, I left it on the printer, a public comment for the homeless event that's happening in Walnut Creek at the library, I believe.
Yeah, I can dig up the link and share that in the Q&A for folks. But on Friday, December 20th, we will be having an event to honor Homeless Persons Memorial Day. That is usually on the 21st, but that's a Saturday. And it'll be at the Walnut Creek Library, and there's a form where folks can drop names of loved ones or friends or people they knew who have passed away while experiencing homelessness or after ending their homelessness episode in the last couple of years. And we do a reading of names, and there will be some food and good community building. And we're partnering with the Crisis Center and SOS and NAMI to host this event. And Wayne Earl, our chair of the Council on Homelessness and Faith Seat representative, will be supporting the reading of names. So we would love to have folks there.
Thank you. And then I'll also pin again, the pit count is coming. So if any of you all want to experience that or haven't done it, you can sign up for that. Training will be in January. I've done it. We're up to 0-30 in the morning. So it's a great experience to learn how the pit count is done. That's all I have.
I have an announcement wearing my other hat. The Reentry Success Center just started our 9-week alpha cohort on Monday, December 9th. We are still adding some last minute additions. If you have anyone who can benefit from cognitive restructuring, please connect them to our services. In addition, we are preparing for our winter holiday festival. This event is scheduled for Friday, December 20th from 3 o'clock to 7. And we'll be providing a meal, have some hot cocoa station, cookie decorating, I believe the saran wrap game and some other fun games and raffle prizes for the community members. If you have anyone that can benefit from community building or just some holiday festivities, we will be having this event at the Reentry Success Center and everyone is.
Any other public comments in the room? Seeing none. Any public comments on Zoom? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3, which is consider approving the record of action from our November 14th CAB meeting. It is within the attachment. I'll give us a couple of minutes to look that over, and I'll be looking for a motion and then a second motion. Okay. We have Tracy with a motion. We have Mark with a second.
Nicole.
Aye.
Tiffany. Aye. Wanda. Alexandria. Aye. Brenda. Marcus.
Aye.
Tracy. Aye. Demetria.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our agenda item number 4, which is consider approving a CAB application for our new membership to be considered for the approval of the community to be approved to move forward to the CCP. But Glorabel Pastrana and pull up the attachment. Hopefully we've all had a moment to look at it. I am very excited about this. Glorabel has participated in a lot of our meetings and bring a wealth of knowledge to us in reference from the employment aspect. I can go on and on. And I won't. She is joining us on Zoom today. We did not have the meeting at OCEC due to a conflict with another meeting. So we figured since she's, part of one of our CBOs and actually participated in a lot of our meetings already, we'll rather bring it forth to everyone that kept here to ask any questions that we have and just do a final vote so that we can get her over to, if we all agree, move forward to get her over to CCP for, the upcoming, meeting. So. Gloria, I'll pass it over to you if there's anything that you'd like to share as to why, you submitted the application or anything you want us to know about your application or yourself.
Was mentioned before, I've been doing, well, I didn't mention this, sorry. I'm a little sick and that's the reason why I'm not there in person. I didn't want to share any of these cooties with you all. I do have almost 10 years of working in workforce services and workforce development. Prior to Rubicon, I was with Goodwill, directly working as a job developer. And prior to that, I was with a staffing agency, putting people to work and building partnerships with employers. So the aspect that I would like to bring, the voice that I would like to bring to the CAB is that of employers, that of businesses and employment opportunities, and how we can work together in solidifying and growing that aspect through the CAB and advising our CBOs and things of that nature. So that's the purpose of my application. And as Nicole mentioned, I have been to quite a few meetings and really respect what takes place at the CAB and really see the difference that it can make. So I'm excited to be here and answer any questions you guys may have.
So the first question I have that, I appreciate my new members for bringing light to me and stick to the front of all of my questions now is in reference to like the time commitment, in reference to the meetings and our subcommittee members. Did you have a chance to kind of review that information and understand the time, constraint to be a part of that?
Yes. Before I even filled out the application, and this is why it took me so long to fill it out, is I wanted to be sure that my commitment was going to be solid. I look forward on being part of the subcommittee that specifically is regarding and around workforce development. But yes, my commitment is there.
Go around the table and then see if any committee members have questions. I'll start with you.
I don't have any questions and I do have a statement. I'm also very excited to see Glorabel find the Community Advisory Board. I've also had the pleasure to work with Glorabel over the past 10 years, kind of sharing our age story. And I have not only seen her work and her relationship building with employers, I've also seen her work with our community members who were really focused on providing this board and just her unique perspective of motivating, identifying opportunity and working with our community members. I think that she has great perspective and skill set that we're really confident.
I was impressed by your application, so I'm excited to see you become a member of the board. That's it.
I was also impressed. Hello. I was also impressed and very excited about your background and then your cultural, what I want to say, your cultural leadership, cultural intelligence. It seems like you have drive, knowledge, strategy, all these things that are important for working with the variety of cultures and for getting youth where they need to go and being able to get the on the ground, boots on the ground action taking place. I really love your direct influence on large and scale job fairs. I'm just really excited about learning more about who you are. And yeah, it's just, those are my comments. Thank you.
I'm an open book, so you guys are always welcome to ask me anything, anytime.
I echo the sentiment of my fellow CAB members. I was very impressed with your application, and you have such a great reputation so far that I'm eager to get to work with you. So thank you for applying.
Just ditto what everyone else has said. I'm excited for the opportunity for you to join this board. And I'm looking forward to working with you and learning about your experience and what you can bring to the group.
Yes, well, thank you for your application. I had a chance to read it over briefly, and I'm eager and excited for what you can bring to the CAB as well as all the other experience that we have. I think you'll be definitely an asset. Thank you.
Good morning. I appreciate your opening statement and comments by everybody. I do have a quick question. Just based on your knowledge and your experience and your current working experience, do you see any gaps that we currently have in the county as far as, what the CAB is charged with addressing reentry?
That is a very loaded question. And the reason why I applied, I think that there definitely could be more action taken in regards to employment opportunities and bolstering what is available to small businesses as form of support and hiring tactics towards justice impacted and marginalized communities. I think there isn't enough marketing or education on that end. Participants, we have community members, I think that the one thing that I run into the most is the education or the information sharing for employers, those that are doing the hiring, is not where it should be. And my goal is to hopefully figure out a way that within the capacity of the CAB, figure out ways of sharing that knowledge out on what is attainable and available for employers and the unseen well, not unseen, but untapped, I should say, potential that they have in hiring these community members with maybe some type of additional funding, reimbursements that are already available. They just don't know about it. So I look forward to having a lot of in-depth conversations within the CAB and hearing your perspectives and what we can ultimately do, not only within the CAB, but also what we take back to our own organizations and put into place to help, flush these items out. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
I don't have any questions. Just like Tiffany, very familiar with your work. I can't say my disclaimer because I was. But I've worked with Gloria for a very long time at Goodwill, so very, very, very familiar. I'm really excited about the application because one of our next priorities is employment. And now we have individuals not only with housing, but then we have individuals that work in service navigation and in employment and education. So really just excited about the local knowledge here and to be able to add. So, very excited about that. So far I don't hear any questions. So I guess it's more to voting unless Gloria, you have any questions for us here. If not, then I can give it over to Kimmy to do our vote.
That was the easiest interview. I was so nervous.
That'd be a hard question.
I was expecting like hardball questions, like, okay, get ready. I appreciate you guys. No, I'll let you guys move forward with the vote. Thank you.
Nicole?
Aye.
Tiffany? Aye. Tracy? Aye.
Oh,
Oh.
was there a motion call?
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you. So, this is Nicole. We would like to, are we looking for a motion to move Gloria Pastrana forward to be a part of the CAB to our next Community Correction Partnership CCB meeting?
I would like to make the motion to move forward to.
Tiffany is saying motion, and then we have Linda as a second.
All right, now for voting, Nicole?
Aye.
Tiffany? Aye. Tracy? Aye. Wanda?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Demetria? Aye. Alexandria? Aye. And Brenda?
Okay, thank you, Gloria, for being here today. I know you don't feel good, so if you can't stay for the rest of the meeting, that's fine, and then you'll get more correspondence from either Kimmy or Garyana in reference to the CCP meeting that will be held on the 20th.
Yeah, so actually, Gloria, we'll be in touch with you. It's probably best to attend the upcoming CCP meeting on December 20th. Application will be considered by that body.
Will there be a virtual option to have a all-day commitment that day? Okay, thank you.
Get well soon.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you. And I will be logging out for the rest of the meeting. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, on to our next agenda item. Very excited to have them come back. We have presenters today for support recovery. So all of the cabinets new, except me and myself, Brenda. So they came and presented to us a while back in reference to their services. And they really brought some light to us as a committee about what is taking place in reference to women's services or just the Hispanic population. So we wanted to have them come back and give us an update on the great work that they're doing. Any updates they want to give us on gaps, but we just wanted to welcome you back, because you helped us frame some of our priorities we haven't tapped into yet on what we're going, moving forward with in the upcoming year. So I will turn over to, and I can't even think, Pablo, don't get me. Pablo.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us back. I'm Aswad, co-founder of Support for Recovery. Just to give you a minute, because we really want Pablo to have the time, because he's the man that's out there doing the work. But our organization, I got in recovery in 91 and 1992, appointed to the Drug Advisory Board and served on that board until 2006. And in 2006, 3 of us left the board to co-found this organization called Support for Recovery. And what we had learned over this period of time was people were really interested in being part of an organization when there was a bunch of money coming in and everybody got excited about it. And then we saw when the money went away, then a lot of that went away. So we co-founded Support for Recovery with no employees, no paid directors, no office space. We wanted, the only reason you wanted to be there is if you wanted to help. And the 3 of us, 2 of us were in recovery, the other one was a family member. And we wanted to identify gaps and the people that were falling through the holes in the system. And that's what we wanted to serve. Today, we're coming up on our 18th year. The only asset the organization has is a printer. And we still have no office space, no paid employees by donors. Pablo is employed through Measure X, the Innovation Fund. And we're really excited about the work that we're doing. When we first came here last year, I think Support for Recovery interest in the Hispanic community started in like January of 2023. In June of 2023, Pablo became an employee. So by the time we applied for the innovation grant in 2024, we had 6 months, well, a year, but 6 months of experience having Pablo to move forward. So here we are coming up on a year and still experiencing a lot of the systemic and structural racism that we've experienced when we first started. But we've made a lot of headroom and collaborated with a lot of organizations and individuals. And we're so happy to have Pablo part of our organization. And I think Nicole can confirm the fact that we can move quickly as an organization like ours. There's not a lot of red tape and big boards and all that kind of stuff. So when the people need help, we're able to be there and provide that help. And with that, I want to introduce Pablo Martinez, who is our program manager.
I'm good, he said it all. So, talk about gaps, right? So my name is Pablo Martinez, and part of the reason why, I guess, some things are just meant to be, right? I came into Pueblo in 2018 as a,
I'm sorry, Paula, if you don't mind speaking up a little bit,
Sure.
so that your voice is
Okay.
picked up the folks online.
sorry about that, you're missing a good one. In 2018, I went through Pueblos after I wrecked my life through my addiction, right? And at that time, I didn't go to Pueblos because it was the only Spanish-speaking treatment. I just went to Pueblos because it was the only detox in Contra Costa County. At that time, we have 2 now, right? But at that time, that was the only place I could go detox. Then some of the guys persuaded me to stay there. And part of the reason why I wanted to stay there because I had no money, so I thought I'd give it a chance, right? So I stayed there, right? But I realized that when I was in Pueblos, we didn't really have counseling. We had one lady there, and then the other lady was just inundated with work at the office. And then me coming from the business background, I was able to I guess, put some couple thoughts together and it sounded good. So what they did is they made me the house coordinator, and maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I got into treatment, I was leading the groups. They gave me an NA book, and they were it was just so neglected. So and the reason why I have to tell that story is because what led to what we're doing today, right? So I ended up leaving Pueblos, went to the Salvation Army, did another 6 months, stay another 3 voluntarily. So by the time I came back to Pueblos, I had already a year of recovery. And when I came back to Pueblos, Pueblos was different. The original founder of Bit had passed away, and there was some restructuring going on. They wanted to shut down Pueblos, and Tony Wild came in, cleaned it up. And mind you, she doesn't speak a word of Spanish, but she was able to keep the program alive. And she had heard what I was doing at the Salvation Army, because when I was there, I created inside groups for Spanish speakers that couldn't go anywhere else. So we brought in some materials, and I was translating, so worked for them. So she knew that I liked working with people. So she gave me the opportunity to start, become a counselor, and then reached out to Tom Support for Recovery, which they funded me through register for to become a counselor. And then I left the Salvation Army, so I didn't have a place to go. They wanted me to go to a sober living environment at the time, and my relationship with Support for Recovery started. So when I came back to Pueblos, it was still broken. Right? We had there was one lady, there's 2 ladies in there, and then Tony. And then we had a guy that's currently the coordinator now, but he was only coming in on Tuesdays and Thursdays to groups and nights. COVID hits 2020, and then everybody bails out, and then I happened to be the newest counselor. There was nobody else, which he was great because he gave me tons of experience running groups. So I must have done 1,000 groups in a year. So, but what happens is when I was at Pueblos, we have 12 beds for Spanish-speaking men. There's 0 beds for women, Spanish-speaking women, and I'll touch that in a little bit. But when I was in there, I couldn't figure out why there's only 12 beds, Spanish-speaking clients. This is the only treatment in Contra Costa. Why did we have 6 empty beds? Because I knew there was tons of people like me out there suffering. Either they didn't know something was up, right? So I couldn't figure it out. Turns out, when they were calling the program, we had to tell them to call the access line, and then the access line will connect. So it was a horrible experience. The reason why is because the first thing they do when they call the access line, do you have Medi-Cal? The answer is no. So there's a lot of fear about Medi-Cal, illegal, and then the language barrier because they don't have anybody. At that time, they only have one lady that spoke Spanish, and then she was inundated with phone calls. So sometimes the waiting time for someone to speak Spanish was 2 hours. Mind you, the window of willingness to get recovered is very tiny. So really, unless you're totally desperate, normally people give up fairly quickly. So there's a lot of obstacles. Part of the reason why Mission X got funded for those things is because of those obstacles, right? But inside the treatment, we figured that out. So I told Tony, give me permission to run it different, and she gave me the green light. So I said, when they call, I'm not going to tell them, I'm not going to send it to access line. And then the Hispanic population, it's different. Obviously, it's a culture thing. So when the mother or the sister call, which is normally over 90% of the phone calls, right? It's the mother or the sister, usually the mom, right? And then, Miko has problems, can you help me? Bring him. That was the only thing I said, bring him. There's no one to see when I bring him, because I wanted to talk to him in person. So if he was alcoholic, sent him to county hospital, so they have to detox him by law, and then that started the preemptive medical. Obstacle number 1, we figured that out because then he didn't have to call, get the medical. So okay, now we can get him to detox, and it gives me 30 days to figure out how to get him to medical. So we get him there and they move him from detox to treatment, and that changed the whole thing. That was the first obstacle we found out that changed things. But while doing groups, right, we figure out that half of them don't know how to read. Right? So we were doing groups, and they're shaking their heads, and a lot of times we give them assignments, and they don't, mentally they're not really stable to begin with, let alone with literature, right? So we had to restructure things and do more video assignments, video things that they could understand. So that was another thing that we found out. So we had to change that. Another obstacle was the legal identification, right? So we had a guy, and I'll never forget this because that's the case that got me to getting the connection with the Mexican counselor. We had a guy that full scope medical, and when he was on the streets, he was doing meth, so he had a lot of problems with his teeth, and his cheek was all swollen, he's got an infection. We sent him to Western Dental, because I had the connection with them, so, okay, we have a client, we're gonna taxi him over there. When he got there, he was denied services because he did not have a proper ID. The guy never came back well. So I don't know if he did or not, but so we figure, okay, oh my God, this is the stuff normally someone who's born in this country doesn't have to go through, right? So figure out, we gotta make that connection with the Mexican consulate so they can get their original documents, so I can take them to DMV and they can have at least a proper identification. Driver license, different thing, but at least an official identification in California, so we worked on that. All those things, then turns out that I was the only counselor because we still, there's no one else, so I go to Damon, which was the director of Private at that time. I said, look, we need more beds. You know, this thing has been successful now. The mothers know that we can help them. We restructure the whole thing inside Pueblo, so we need more beds. And he said, well, there are no counselors. No, it's fine. So I figured, okay, well then we'll make them. Right? So I started training our clients. They got out of treatment. So, and mind you, right now, 70% of the boards in Pueblos are ex-alumni that we guided to become counselors, because those are the best people who go through the program, alumni, and they give back. So we changed that. Fast forward, a year later, maybe I said, look, we're running in all cylinders. We got 5 counselors. I persuaded the guy that was doing groups twice a week to come and work full time, and it's like, okay, we're good. They said no. We won't expand until we'll talk probably a little bit. We've gone to different organizations to try to expand services. They said absolutely. So that's a different issue for another time, but so that created a lot of frustration. By that time, I was really mad with the organization because I'm the one that I was just telling Tom, I'm the one that has to tell the mother and the sister, sorry, I can't. So I do a lot of advocacy for support for recovery. We go out, we go inside the jails, and then they say, okay, you're right, please help me. Well, I can't. So you get that look like, then what are you doing here? Right? What the hell are you doing here? You come and say, hey, there's another way, and then when I really surrender and I ask for your help, you still don't have a place for me. Right? So that's what we're changing a lot of things. So support for recovery. I brought a bunch of issues to Tom and we sat down and put this thing together that we brought to the county. Okay, this is if you give me this funding, this is what I want to be able to do, because those are the things that I had identified for 2 years. So I had a 2-year study on those things, right? And personal relationship with mothers and sisters that were feeling mean and all these issues that are happening, right? Resources, all these things. So we put this thing together. We submitted the Measure X application.
Denied.
We were denied because the panelists said that those services were already offered by the county, which is the total BS, because we know they're not. And that's what fact, I'm still waiting for somebody to come in. Hey, let's collaborate together because you're doing what I'm doing. There's nobody there doing that. But anyway, so what do we do now? So with Measure X funding, we were able to fund people who are leaving treatment to go to sober living, right? With that money also, they give me an ability to fund people who want to become counselors. So I do workshop, road to counseling. So we do a workshop, if somebody wants to become a counselor, this is what you do, and I guide you through the whole process with them. No computer skills, none of that stuff. So I guide you through the whole thing. We do the legal services, which is I email the Mexican consulate as I have 3-4 different clients. And mind you, like, think about this, when they cross the border, nobody carries all their identifications with them because they get caught, right? So you're not coming across the border with a briefcase with all the legal papers, so you got nothing. So they have nothing. So I have to call the consulate and they go, okay, this is his name, this is where he was born, this is the school he went to. So they do a total background check. So by the time we get to the Mexican consulate, they already had run a background and asked the guy. They still have to interview the guy and ask a bunch of questions. But we get them to the San Francisco consulate. By the time we leave the office, they have an official passport, which now they can use at the DMV and a lot of other services. So we have that. And then we started the family reunification. What does that mean? What happens is a ton of guys are going through treatment. There's, in addiction, we know there's a lot of restraining orders. You can't see your kids. There's chaos, all that stuff. So a lot of those guys, They have been served with paperwork that they can't see the children. They don't know what that is. They can't read it. They don't know what to do. And a lot of times they will get sober. They'll go through the program, finish 90 days of treatment. And then when they come out, they still can't see the children. So it was another roadblock, like, well, what's the point of me changing if they're not gonna let me see my kids anyway? So screw you guys and go back to drinking. Right? So we figure, okay, we're gonna help. We're gonna help. We're not attorneys, but I know I went through the process for 7 years personally, so I know the people that can help him and I can guide him. Go make a motion so you can see him. So we got funded to help with that. The only thing we got funded for was. I'm missing one because I didn't write it down. But those were the key things that actually I figure if we are able to address these things, right? Because addiction itself is a major thing to overcome. And then I can't speak the language. I don't have a car to drive. I don't have a place to live. I can't identify myself. They won't let me see my kids. She was talking, she left, but the workforce development things like, okay, we have an organization that hires people in recovery, which is very difficult. We know that, right? So we weren't funded for that, but we have different sources of funding for recovery where I help them. Okay, let's make you a rescue report, like all those things that are obstacles for somebody who's in recovery, right? So what we're doing with that is, me and mine, we're doing exceptional work, right? Because those things didn't happen before. Those things weren't in place before, right? So we have the ability to do those things now. The other thing I know here at the bottom is that Hispanic women in Contra Costa, if they have a loved one who suffers from alcoholism and drug addiction, they don't know it. We're doing a survey that's going to end up at the end of the year. 12 months, we go to the supermarket, we ask women, if you had a loved one, it's a series of funny questions, but one of them is like, if you had a loved one or, that suffers from addiction, do you know what to do? Where would you go? And right now, 70% of the answer is they don't. So we know the county is not doing their job as far as reaching out to that population. Yeah, well, it's on the website. They don't have computers. They don't know how to do access to these things, right? So we need to level down to what they can understand and how they get those things. So we're doing that. So what we started is a women's focus group that was funded. And then by Metro X and Gilmer, right? And then so what I did is every 3 months I got a group of women and then I explained about addiction and what they could do. And out of that group, those 4 groups, we got a couple different women that want to follow up with that group. So now I'm happy to say that what was it, 4 weeks ago, we started with the first official women focus group in Contra Costa County, where they come in and they talk about their addiction and how to help their loved ones. So I guide them and I'm training the women because I want that to be women only, right? So that if they don't know how to facilitate it, how to diffuse the situation in case things. So I'm training them how to do that, and eventually I'll step out and do that running stuff. So we have that. Now they have a place where they can come in and talk about what can I do? How do I do with that? No, I don't want to answer your question.
Yes, you do. No, so I just for I know we have a time check.
Yeah.
Those that are in the room to really get familiar, and I appreciate you guys giving them a breakdown on all the amazing work that you're doing. Just for them to be able to tie on how, if you don't mind, a brief little snippet on how you tie it into what you're doing in the jails, working with the just impacted population. And I know last time you came, you talked about the women as well, which is one of the reasons we really start focusing on that gender responsive services and looking at the women. So they may not know, but some of the, if you don't mind, a little bit of what you do with the justice of our population and coming inside the jails
and what our future plans are for 2025 with that population under a new innovation grant we've been applying for.
So the inmate population is just as it's affected, the inmate population is affected just as much as, the addicts and alcoholics out on the street. The good thing with the inmate population is we have a captive audience. They have nowhere to go, right? We come in and provide services. So Tom and I have been going to Fatima's. Let us come in and provide substance use services inside the jails. Like I wanted to do workshops, but I wanted to do not so much of the workshop. I wanted to go in and do counseling group. Oh no, we're already doing that, which is not true. Again, they're not really doing that. Not for men, not for women. So we fought for a year and a half, almost 2 years. Finally, we went through a different route where we were able to come in and collaborate, partner up with GPS. Thank you, Jana. Thank you, Nicole. So what I do now is I go inside the jails and I provide same information I'm providing to you guys. They get that information. And some of those guys, and this is the problem we're having too, is like some of those guys want to go to treatment. They are completing sentences, right? They're not saying, hey, I choose treatment other than jail time. No, they're like, I'm out. If I don't go to treatment, I'm gonna come back here again. Please help me. So we're having trouble. So that's the work we're doing inside the jails with Nicole. And we just started with the women. Unfortunately, nobody showed up. And again, we're trying to figure out, right? There's gotta be a way that we're gonna be able to capture that audience, but we are officially inside all 3 jails, and then I have access, thanks to Jack, to with the Latino population inside West County. So I will be presenting the same thing to them. Part of the future plan for 2025 is I'm gonna focus a lot on that population. So all my most of the work I'm gonna be doing is gonna be shifted towards that, the inmate population, because this program is already established. I can have people that can run it, right? So we're gonna be moving on to that, and then
6 men's beds,
6 men beds, 6 men women. So it's gonna be, we call it a tier 3 sober living. Basically, it's because there's still no treatment available. We're gonna put them on a tier 3 sober living, which means they basically have to do the same things you would do inside residential treatment, except you're not in residential treatment, right? But part of the condition, if we fund you for, 90 days, you're gonna have to do these in-house groups and the external house meetings that you're gonna have to do. That's coming up in 2025, hopefully, but, what else?
I just, and when those original 12 beds were established for the Hispanic community, the population in Contra Costa County is grown by 95,000, not one bed. There's not been one bed expansion in that period of time. So that's, and we have, like Pablo said, we've gone outside the county to try and get other providers to come in, but nobody, and this is a county, it's a state, it's a national problem. We're not unique. We just don't know how to access that population. So it's easy for people to go, oh, well, there's no census, they're not seeking treatment. It's because we don't know how to get them to come to us. And that's what we're learning through this grant. And we're very excited about it. But you would think, Nicole knows about this. Before we even got funded last year, Pablo talked about people calling Access and not getting services. We said every time a Spanish speaker calls Access, put us in contact with them so we can offer them all these services. Here we are a year later. You would think that at no cost to the county, that would be something that the county would want to be interested in. No, it hasn't happened a year later. So it's frustrating when you're working with the people that are supposed to be helping and they become gatekeepers and not allowing that to happen. It's real frustrating for me because I'm coming up on 32 years of doing this volunteer work, and people are dying out there because of these system breakdowns. So thank God that this innovation grant has come along. Thank God we had the support of all 5 supervisors who, when we were denied the funding, they said, oh no, you're funding this. So they went against their advisory board and funded us. And like Jill Ray is a real asset for us as an organization, along with Candace Anderson. But all 5 supervisors are supporting the work that we've been doing. And we're real hopeful moving into 2025. We're going to be getting closer to expanding treatment for the Hispanic community.
I definitely appreciate you all for coming in. I don't want to make it seem like anything is rushed at all. I would love when you guys do have the survey results, same thing with the other board. I want to be able to see that information, especially with the women and all the great work that you all are doing. And I just wanted for our new members to really learn about support for recovery and the work. And I should have had the previous presentation provided to you all, but I didn't think of that. So I do want to go around, do the time to see if any of you have any questions for them. Then we have 2 other items, and if there's anything finalized you want to say, so that I can let, again, sorry to make it feel rushed, but I want to make sure that we get on the last 2 items and address any questions the committee members have. And they did provide documentation in our packet.
And there's information on the table in front about the organization, because it's not just the Hispanic community. We have a big focus on women and women with children.
And that's
Also,
kind of where we came up with, start really focusing on that area, based on their first presentation, it kind of helped us. And then not only just but looking at what other demographics may also be affected in the same manner. So there's a couple of items you'll notice that Garyana puts on the email that goes out as pending further items for us to think about when we look into the upcoming year. So I pause everything. Any questions from committee members for them about what's in here, what they talked about?
I have a couple of comments and a question. So will that be a co-ed facility, the third tier? It will be separate.
separate men, separate women.
The 6 beds for women, will that be for women and children or just solely women?
Solely women now, we're flexible when it comes to that. Unfortunately, the way we're gonna be funded through, the children won't be funded. So that would have to be, I would have to rewrite that completely, and it's too late, obviously. But if this is successful, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do it. And it doesn't mean we can't get additional funding to do an expansion of that in the meantime, right? It's just this particular project we're gonna go after, it's only gonna address those two.
I really appreciate the work that you all are doing. I also the Hispanic community, not just the Hispanic community, also, you know, the just impacted Hispanic community and how unsafe it can feel to access services. I've also visited Pueblo del Sol alongside my Spanish speaking staff, and at that time it was kind of difficult to you know, get everyone to fill out our member applications because there wasn't as many counselors at that time. Now it seems like there's more for the individuals who did have some, like, you know, reading and writing challenges. And I'm really excited to hear that you all are growing and expanding and really focusing on in-custody services. I also just wanted to share a little bit of like language. You know, I just hear like inmates, which is really common in this work. And I would just like to share that, you know, people in custody, people serving time, and because that is another label created by those systems. And I'd just like to share it with any whenever I hear it, and I really enjoyed your presentation today, so thank you.
One more thing real quick, sorry, this is very important too. You talk about La Concordia, because the guys that are in treatment, we've had, can we continue that time?
You got a couple minutes,
Right,
yes.
let's talk a little bit. So this is not only with Hispanic population, but this is also with English speakers. When people enter treatment, they have co-occurring disorders. There is such a wait to get to mental health services that a lot of the time they're gone. And anybody that knows anything about, you know, it's like, I liken it to sending somebody to a mental health facility with alcohol and drugs to use while they're there. And it's one of those things that I don't understand with all the money and behavioral health and blah, 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 blah. And we've been trying to address this now for probably 45 days, asking questions. What can we do as an organization to advocate for this? And why is it like this? This is unacceptable to us as an organization. Not really getting any answers on that. But that's something I think we could work on together, because any of the services that any of us are trying to do, if people are not getting with co-occurring disorders treated on both ends, it's not going to be successful.
We made a little progress. We made a contract with La Concordia, which is going to provide some of it, but clients of Pueblo, so that we're
trying to do whatever we can.
Appreciate that.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I remember you all's first presentation, I was like, go forward. And then, so what I would like to say and appreciate is the location, the strategy you use for going to do the surveys, going to the supermarket. When you said that, that stood out to me and just that's just like excellent place to go, I think, to find people, to find women, to ask them a question. So kudos for that kind of knowing where to go to reach the population.
Thank you. And we're going to have to go after this because we got the bidders conference for Measure X that we have. Thank you all for having us again, and anytime we can come back and And we'll, hopefully we'll be giving you a report on our
Yes.
next steps for 2025 innovation.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So, we'll be moving on to a little time check real quick. So our next one is discuss our camp retreat 2025. What we did is we included some camp material, retreat material in here. OCEC will be going into more, in-depth detail, we will making some adjustments. For the second time, we won't be able to go through the whole thing. We wanted to just kind of give a few updates, so I'm gonna kind of ping pong back and forth again, Mark. But there's going to be some changes that are going to be made here. In reference, they have some OCEC has some really good input in reference to how we may want to facilitate the retreat. So since majority of everyone here is new and have not participated in a retreat, we want to give you an example of inside the package. You have an agenda to see how our last year's retreat was conducted, as well as the presentation. So I'm going to share this talk, so I don't talk as the chair, see if he wants to ping pong.
Sure. So one of the items that we discussed at OCEC was the morning of the retreat and what that could look like for our upcoming retreat. And so I think that what's been in place in the past was beneficial and very useful, but I also believe that, you know, over a decade into realignment, that some people already have working knowledge of what AB 109 is. And so our suggestion or feedback is to provide the CAB with a document that outlines AB 109 rather than fill in the morning with presentations. And what we would like to do instead is, if we're able to get presenters from some of the county agencies to come and present to us what they do, you know, based on some of the feedback and recommendations from CAB. For example, if the probation chief was available or somebody from the probation department to talk about reentry, talk about the program services that their staff utilize, and you know, how they navigate their clients, those on their caseloads through the different services, addressing and assessing their needs. I think that'd be useful for us to hear from them, from their perspective, and have other county partners do the same thing so that we can connect the dots. Because I believe that we all bring our own individual experience to the table, but we don't have a true understanding from the other stakeholders of how some of the things are working or not working, I should say, as well, within the county. And I think that it'd be important to spend some time in a retreat to where we can have some robust presentations and then questions so that we can connect the dots, fill the gaps, and that can lead us into the next year as far as what we focus on as a community advisory board, make our priorities, and what could spur some of the recommendations that we give to the CCP. And so that's the main part of the discussion that we're going to have, I believe, on Tuesday at OCEC to discuss the morning part of the retreat and to identify who we're aware of that's able to come and give a presentation. We do know that that's a Saturday, so we'll get some of the county partners patients for us.
We wanted to bring that here to, have that discussion with you on any feedback you may have. And allow you also to come forward. Talk to you. We always have a presentation about Office of Reentry and Justice that gives us history and a breakdown as well, and some information within the PowerPoint too. So we wanted to bring that to the full board and just kind of have that discussion. See your thoughts, feedback for the next OCEC. Any OCEC non-members? Have any back to OCEC, if they have anything to say.
To it, I, not for the entirety, but I've popped into CAB retreats in the past. So I'm looking forward to officially participating and really taking it all in. And I'm excited to also and just including other stakeholders in the CAB retreat.
And if you think of any activities, let us know. There will be a certain portion for like the afternoon that will Everybody said the same, so when we reaching out for volunteers, usually doing a retreat, we kind of break down each section and we all take a part and contribute to the retreat. So that's not all on one individual, so you'll hear more after OCEC has a meeting on Tuesday. Please pay attention to the emails and communication that goes out in the event that you reach out to participate. Is there anything that you may want to add?
No, but, I do have one idea that could be considered, which is as you all have been doing your ambassador meetings, if there's some specific, CCP members who are those other stakeholders, right? That you feel, you all had pretty response, it was a great meeting, discussion. If you feel as though those individuals might be good, folks to tap into to be those presenters, certainly let us know, reach out to them. Now they're becoming more multi.
So homework assignment, to do the second time, just go back and look at these documentation, and if you have any feedback and you're not part of that committee, just please definitely send over and text me or let me know, or you know, work some text him. Their meeting is on Tuesday. Okay, so moving up to our, as I stated earlier, we're gonna make some adjustments to our next item will be agenda item number 7, and we're gonna skip past 8 and 9. So let's go ahead and go to agenda item number 7, which discuss development planning process, a request for proposal RFP. And I'm gonna turn it over to Trice.
Yes, so, this was a discussion item that, had been talked about for some time, especially after you all's involvement in the, planning process for the one-time 15 million allocation from the AB 109 reserve funding. There was definitely a lot of interest from various staff members to, have a role to play in both the development of RFPs as well as, serving as review panelists for future evaluations of those upcoming proposals. So what I'd like to share with you all that our existing contractors for the 7 services that are being provided through your AB 109 community programs will all be up for a new contract cycle starting July 1 of 2025. That means we will have to issue out a new round of RFPs for those programs. Those service areas include housing, employment, peer mentoring for West County, family reunification, our reentry service hubs such as the Reentry Success Center and the Reentry Network serving West County. Reentry Success Center serving West County and Reentry Network serving East and Central, and civil legal aid services. In the attached document are actually links. This just heads up, this agenda was already getting pretty big, and so each of those RFP documents are also very large. You probably have a 500-page agenda. So just for the sake of time, we created links here. The contracting opportunities is a web page on ORJ's website where all of the past RFP documents are held. And then the actual RFP documents are linked here below, housing and employment programs. We ran a family reunification mentor and civil legal aid services as one RFP, and then the management network system of services, Reentry Network. We don't have on here, noticing the West County Reentry Resource Center, otherwise known as Reentry Success Center, but we can get that to you guys as well. But nonetheless, we will be having a deeper discussion of policy and budget at this next meeting. This is an agenda item there, where cabinets will have an opportunity to go over essentially the scope of the services that's included there. If there's some adjustments or changes or input or feedback that you might have on those documents, welcome them. I will tell you that here internally within ORJ, we are planning to, on our own, do some reviews and making some adjustments to those documents in hopes to having them have RFPs issued out in January. That's for your 7 AB 109 community programs. Now, we're also charged with, I believe, 2 of the new pilot areas from the one-time 15 million. That's the countywide transportation services and also the women or gender responsive services pilot. We will plan to develop those RFPs and likely issue that out in early April. So we're trying to stagger these. We've got a lot going on in solicitation land for us. And so, and we want to make sure we put things out that is very thoughtful and give enough space and time for you guys' feedback and also provide an opportunity for you all to engage in the review panel sessions. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's see, I feel like I'm missing one more. Oh, we also recently procured services through an agency called OpenGov that will allow us to have a procurement portal, so to speak, that's a little bit more user friendly for providers. We are hoping to issue these RFPs through that portal. So that will be again later in January. I said hoping because we just had a kickoff meeting. So just know all of these RFPs have been listed under BidSync. For those in the room that are provider staff that may have been a part of that whole process, BidSync again is a separate procurement portal that's utilized by our county. Our county encourages departments to utilize it if they can. But it's mostly, from our experience, really suitable for larger projects, larger solicitations for like capital projects, things of that nature. And we have heard many, many times from providers the difficulty and challenges tech-wise and user friendliness with that particular site. So we try to look into other options that could be made available in OpenGov. Seem to be the best solution for us. It also helps us internally sort of streamline our process so we can move our contracting process a little bit more, move it along more efficiently and hopefully faster. Some of our providers experience having contracts being executed several months after the initial start of the contract year. So we acknowledge all of those hiccups and we're trying to address that as much as we can for this next contract cycle. Just heads up. Let me pause for a minute. I said a whole lot. Any questions on anything else you share?
Just clarification. So the current contracts will expire in June of this year. So is there going to be a point where the existing providers have to stop taking like a new referral because their contract is in it?
Should they, so for any of those contractors, if they happen to, I assume many of them will be fine. If they do not receive a new contract, then we do work with those to do a sort of like a transition or handoff with the new provider.
I just say that because of just lessons learned from my past experiences when you do have a new provider and you're in that N1 contract that you potentially run the risk of somebody not being able to be in services or you stop taking the referrals. And in the middle of a procurement process, it's a little bit challenging. You don't know if an existing provider applies and they're going to be awarded. And so maybe something to consider if it's appropriate to have a small extension in place just to address that potential issues. So you don't have any gaps.
Yeah. Assuming the funding is there, you can always do a no cost extension because all of these contracts from cost reimbursement, they have to expend the cost in order to receive funding. So if funding is still available, it's never an issue to be able to do a cost extension and time it appropriately with the new contractor. But typically though, all of the programs, with the exception of housing, it's usually a smoother transition. With housing, that's an actual slot placement. We're talking about like physical movement, right? With some of the other programs, it might be more administrative challenges with staff, and maybe think about, okay, you can expect to receive all of these referrals within the next week, things like that. So operationally, I would say the greatest challenge would be around how it was a transition here. Oh, we've worked in that, on that issue in the past. You know, I don't think we had too much. I would say that, I don't know how I just really felt about that, but we try our best to have.
And sorry, last question, for the existing providers, do none of them have a contract where it'd be allowable? Let's say they were a really good program, it'd be allowable for them to have an extension.
Say allow.
Contract, like, does their current contract allow for, you know, the potential if the county wanted to extend their contract another year? Is that available within the existing contract?
You know, I don't, available within existing contracts. No, I don't. I have to double check the language, but I'm almost certain that's not the case. It is for a 3-year contract cycle with the expectation that they'll be after 3 years, kind of have a sense of how those programs and services are going, and then make the decision of how to procure or issue out another solicitation. Any other questions? Okay, so the next thing I do want to share, you all should have received an email from me inviting you to a couple of opportunities to learn about the procurement process, excuse me, and what to expect. You will serve as a panelist for reviewing and evaluating proposals. In the past, actually, there's been typically a CAB representative on those RFP panels. So we want to make sure to start that back up again, give you all an opportunity to learn what to expect, how to evaluate proposals, what to look for, things of that nature. So those dates were 2 time slots on January 9th and 1 time slot on January 13th. So to ensure that we don't go into any form issues, and we'll keep these kind of small groups, if you can please indicate which 1 time slot you would like to join. I already had one who not follow that rule. But that's okay, we'll work it out. But yes, let me know, and that's not a requirement, it's just an added training opportunity for you all. And our goal is that we hope will serve you well, not just for these RFPs, but for any RFP from any other department. Many other departments that I know of do wish to have some of that outside sort of view or community perspective when it comes to the evaluation of these proposals. So it's certainly a developmental opportunity for you guys in more ways.
Are you looking to do these procurement process and proposal review training more than once, every couple of years, or is it kind of one for?
Great question. I know where you headed. Thank you. Yes. For now, this is really in prep for what we know is coming. Okay. I have had conversations with a couple of other folks from other departments who are also thinking about the same thing. And so maybe later in the future, we might consider how to do maybe recurring training specifically for advisory body members. Because a lot of these committees, many commissions and committees in the county have some kind of input that they're offering on some related funding source. And so having that representation on those review panels are going to be critically important. So I would just say TBD, more to come back. I do know that is conversation happening. Any other questions? Yes, it will be some.
I think that's a good point that you made. I definitely would tell anyone if you're interested in learning about it to do it. I've done it with other councils and commissions. Do you ever think like in the future, like another councils and other boards and commissions, they have their board, they don't have, subcommittee that focuses on that area for reference to the proposal that are being put out, so it would be another one to get feedback. You think that would ever happen?
To have a subcommittee that is essentially like a selection committee for proposal.
Or just they get feedback, review, sometimes it's like a election.
Sure, that's a possibility.
I like to hear extra things to think about.
It's always a possibility. No, it's been with, I believe H3.
Yeah, so they have like a scoring matrix and have a committee that reviews that scoring matrix for all of the new, whatever the funding that may come out, and then they have individuals that are part of that board.
Yeah.
You want the proposal. There's a lot.
Yeah, certainly, so that's of the request is, by trying to think about, talking about how to structure that, build that. Would it be an ad hoc group, would it be a formal subcommittee? Talk through the structure.
Have any additional questions? Any questions? No? I'm excited. I'll just pick one. I was giving it, I was like, don't be anywhere. It was me. Telling myself. My excitement took the best of me. Okay, so moving on to our next one. I did want to discuss CAB involvement in upcoming event. Tiffany, what day is the board event that year? PlayStation.
The one in January?
Yeah.
I believe it's the 14th.
So I wanted to pin that there is an upcoming event in OCEC will, our two OCEC members will present. But going forward, the 13th of January,
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm looking at, they're coming. It is the 14th.
The 14th.
From 12:30 to 1.
Okay. And then the goal going forward next year is as we, OCEC will have more discussion about the events, the type of events, with the presentation together, as well. But, we want to make sure that we lift that as events come up, that we want to present and we will open it up to see if anybody can participate. So it just has to have on the OCEC. So, we did have 2 volunteers that are going to do this when that comes up. We do get invited a lot from RC as well to be able to present. Our last one that we did was amazing. The feedback that we had from the individuals in the room. And I believe one of the things we're asking is, maybe they can probably come in Zoom idea of what it looks like, they can learn about CAB. But it was nice to have that presentation with Brenda there. So we just wanted to add in here, let there's an upcoming event and that as more come on, in April. Now we will reach out to see if other individuals can participate and not just put it all in OCEC. You have that look on your face of yes, you did. I was concerned, like, wait a minute, I have my 2. Anything that you wanted, the OCEC wanted to add before we move on to the. No? Okay. The next agenda item, discuss report outs from CAB subcommittee and external meetings. I know we only have a time check, a couple minutes. Do you want to give any updates for external meetings or Jill? Any updates?
I don't know if Jill has any for board supervisors, but I could just at least share with CCP on regarding CCP. Not sure if you all met since the November since CCP meeting. Okay, at the last November CCP meeting, it was the budget workshop. It was actually pretty short meeting, for lack of better words. For the most part, all of the budget requests have been have been discussed. There was no vote or action taken. They were discussed, most of the requests are all status quo requests, and no requests for increased resources or doing any major program modifications. So at this next December meeting on the 20th, the executive committee of the CCP will make a final vote on the final CCP budget. We'll likely hear an update as well on the guaranteed income pilots from EHSD Director Marla Stewart. And obviously we'll have a cap update with Floraville being approved for or being considered to be approved as a cap. So that is going to be December 20th. You can anticipate the agenda for that meeting to likely on Monday. We'll be sure to send that out to all of you so you can have a copy of that and see the contents of the agenda packet.
And normally we submit, like a memo or like a presentation, but we've pretty much been doing all the work throughout the year, right? So, from a CAP perspective, I'm just gonna give like a quick summary of our work and thank you for allowing us to, move forward with that anyone on access funding and being able to give all that input and how to allocate the funding. If you all are able to attend, if this is in person, would be great. If there's anything that you may want us to rise and say, that's pretty much, so it's not gonna be anything submitted in writing to present, but just more, thank you. And I think we have the other candidate that's gonna be there as well, right? It was Floraville and one other. From our previous, yeah, we held off until December, I forgot her name. It should be two. Yeah, she didn't come to the meeting, so we held her off. I think it was Ashley. So we have two.
I do have a question.
Nicole, this is Jill Ray. I don't want to interrupt you. I was transitioning from one space to another, so I missed the Board of Supervisors update. So when you're ready, I'll do a quick.
You'll be next.
Sounds good.
If I recall, that was the candidate that had some follow-up questions and you guys were going to communicate with them about the application.
No, no, there was a different one. There was one young lady that already went through, OCEC and we approved.
Right.
I think it was October. I know I'm crazy, it was a young lady. Because last meeting, I said, let's hold off one moving her to CCP, so that we can do Floraville. I know I'm sick, y'all.
I'll still call you.
Thank you. Now, what her name is, I don't recall, but there should be two.
Okay, I'll look back through our files, and make sure we get that in there. Just a heads up, they will both likely be identified as filling alternate member seats.
Right.
Though, we'll have to circle back around by January. We do have some indication that one member, Jeffrey Brunson, may not be voting. So, in which case then a voting member seat would now become available. In which case you guys can take action about the alternate.
So our last meeting, that was one of our discussion topics, and the purpose of us holding off on moving the previous candidate forward. Any event that Jeffrey's seat does come up, we have a discussion on who we want to move into that particular seat or who to stay into the Arthur seat. Okay. All right, Jill, take it away.
Just real quickly, I know Tom mentioned that they got approved for one of the Measure X innovation grants, and it's for the $5,000 to get assistance to write the bigger grant that they're going after. The total for the innovation grant is $2 million, and there were 10 people selected for the $5,000. And not only did Support for Recovery get it, but also the GEMA project did too. And I know that's something you all have received a presentation on, and that's for gender responsive services in our detention system. So, so all of that will be moving forward to the major grant application in the near future. And then the Board of Supervisors will be celebrating Supervisor Glover at Tuesday's meeting. He's retiring, and Chanel Scales Preston is the new District 5 supervisor who will be coming in January. And Supervisor Anderson is going to be the chair of the board this next year. So just a lot happening. always available for anything you all need.
And I'll give an update on the AOD. As we mentioned, alcohol and other drugs and mental health is all coming under one umbrella, it's behavioral health, which was rolled out in January. I believe I sent an application. I'm not sure if the email went out yet, but if individuals are interested in joining the particular boards and with the application coming out, mental health has had their last meeting. AOD, our meeting is today. It's just a goodbye, pretty much. And I believe at the next Board of Supervisors meeting, awards will be given away to those that participated on the board. So really excited about both of them coming together. As Tom was saying, folks gonna know the corporate disorders and now being under one umbrella. Very excited about the work. So it's hard to say goodbye, but you know, so if you're interested in that field, definitely apply.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, on Tuesday's board agenda is the creation of the new behavioral health board, which is mandated through Prop 1. And after that, you'll see an application period for soliciting applications for individuals to apply to that board. And also to point to something else that Tom brought up is the in the past, as you all well know, mental health, you could choose either you get mental health help or substance use help. And this Prop 1, along with the Cal-AIM reform, is going to allow for that dual treatment. So it's a heavy lift for our county, but we are working hard on it and super excited to see that move forward.
I know we're right at the dot, but I just want to go around really quickly if each subcommittee can give their update, because I know we had a hard stop. So we'll start off with, I believe in the comments, someone said, what was OCEC? Oh, no, I was gonna.
I gotta go.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just be quick. One of the main changes for us is that starting in February, we're gonna meet on the 4th Tuesday of each month. So we'll send out a meeting schedule, I think, next year, so everyone's aware of that. And then on our agenda today that we passed to a next meeting was the CAB Ambassadors Guide updates and then the PowerPoint presentation for the CAB. I would recommend that you review those at your convenience. And so that everybody knows we did not make any significant changes to the CAB Ambassador program meeting process or report outs. We just updated language and cleaned some areas up. So nothing to change as far as how we're reporting out. And we have our meeting coming up on Tuesday. We're going to discuss the upcoming retreat in January.
Programs and services.
Thank you. And then you just a quick update from the program and services subcommittee meeting. We met on November 21st from 11 to 12:30, and we discussed the CAB program and services work plan. We also took some time to discuss the in-custody survey as well as the findings with the program manager that was on. We're going to write up some more questions to send to her to follow up with us on. And we received a presentation from Bay Area Community Services. At the next meeting, we will continue working on questions for the next in-custody survey, and we'll discuss the structuring of the 81 site visit for the office.
All right, moving along to policy and budget. I'll make this really quick. So some quick meeting highlights. We discussed the board supervisors meeting for updates from that. We discussed the policy and budget recommendations for 2025. As we were with status quo, and then we discussed the RFP that rolled out from H3, which is part of one of our priorities on the woman housing. So the RFP had already went out, so we kind of reviewed that discussion around it. Our next steps, our meeting is on Monday. Will be discussed our next steps in reference to the 819 access funding. So we're just trying to get an update on all key priorities and where they are. Discuss updates from the GI meeting. I just had a meeting on behalf of policy and budget with RJ and Marla around GI and what the goals of that's going to look like. So give an update at that meeting for that. And then we're going to continue discussion around CAP policy and budget recommendations and our updates. So continuing on to the work until next year. So if you want to know more, please join our next meeting. And if there are any questions, comments from members, staff, community, yes? Nope, okay. Next steps?
Next steps are going to be to review the CAB retreat document. The presentation, identify presentations from providers and county partners. And then also, sorry, that's everywhere. And then, Patrice will send the West County RFP to the committee members. Sign up to join the RFP training on the 9th and 13th of January. The 9th and 14th, right?
Great job, Kim.
The main thing to note here is for your next meeting will actually be the board retreat. So that will be Saturday, January 5th, 9 a.m. at the Reentry Success Center. Yes.
And there will be no subcommittee meetings in January. Yep. And then that, and that is it. So we will adjourn and we'll see you all on January 25th at 9 a.m. at the RC for our retreat.
All right.
Thank you. Yes. I'll make sure to come over everyone.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh.